The stats here are incredible because Barca 73% of the ball, 14 shots, only really a couple of those significant. 800 passes completed, but that just doesn't really tell us anything. You look at the table, Barca 3 point, well, still level on points with Real Madrid. Real Madrid in action tomorrow. Madrid with a chance to go 3 points clear. But just going into those stats, Ali. First half, I think Barca had 80% of the ball and they had no shots.
Correct.
It was just sideways. It was incredible.
Sideways and back. So last week, after Quique Setien takes over and they play against Granada, the conversation following the match was, well, we're back to the identity of Barcelona, the possession of the ball. We completed 1,000 passes. Okay, I suppose that has some value. And I suppose that that is the identity of Barcelona. But it has to be possession with a purpose. Yeah. Not this possession, not this inefficient, ineffective, predictable possession that is sideways and back, sideways and back, sideways and back. If you look at the first half today, and you just mentioned it, how many of those passes were actually penetrating passes, forward passes, passes that eliminate lines of defending, passes that are creative, that get and put the opposition into a position where now they have to defend, that is uncomfortable for them to defend? It wasn't. Valencia was just moving sideways, sideways, sideways. They're keeping everything in front of them, and Barcelona kept going backwards. So for all the possession, for all the long passing sequences, 15 passes, 30 passes, 20 passes, whatever it may be, Valencia, with 2 passes, they go on the attacking half, they get a shot on goal, they hit the post, they draw a penalty kick, they get a goal. All the things that you expect for Barcelona to be doing, Valencia was a far more dangerous team without having the ball and no need to have the ball. They were like, okay, yeah, sure, you can have and pass the ball. So how is this any better than whatever they were doing under Valverde? It's not.
What a reality check this is.
Yeah.
For Barcelona fans that thought this was all Valverde. Get rid of him, get in Setien, bring back the values, because it's quite simple, isn't it, sometimes to analyse this side. If Messi doesn't score or have a good game, Barca don't win.
Yeah, it's very much that. And so then you start looking at the personnel out on the field. And you have to ask the question again, which we ask on a weekly basis about Antoine Griezmann.
120 million for that.
Well,
let's be fair to Antoine Griezmann.
Well, you haven't even let me finish about Antoine Griezmann.
Maybe he's going to say nice things.
Maybe there's something nice to be said. What I would say is, in the midweek, Copa del Rey, he scores 2 goals, and they all come from central positions in which he makes quick diagonal movement to get in behind. Today, in a game in which they could have used some of that, he puts himself into wider areas. He goes underneath. He goes anywhere but inside the 18-yard box, where it is where he should be, because, oh, by the way, that's a position that he's playing now, given the absence of Luis Suarez.
I thought you were going to say something nice.
Well, I started nice, and then I went real.
Well, somebody like Griezmann, at the end of the day, when you're playing centre forward, you need some service. And there's nothing more annoying when I was a coach, there was nothing more annoyed me more than watching one of my players take a sideways or a backwards pass without even looking to see if there was a forward pass. That was the most annoying thing that used to drive me up the wall. And if I'm a centre forward and I've got midfield players who are not even looking forward, what does that do to Griezmann? You wonder why he ends up disappearing in all different places where he shouldn't be to try and get a hold of the ball. I mean, it goes 2 ways. And as far as this guy Setien, what happened to this attacking play? Because it looked like they were told, just keep the ball. Just don't give it away. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Just keep it. That's what it looked like. So what happened to the influence of this guy? There doesn't seem to be any at all.
Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, we been too harsh on Barcelona?
I mean, certainly not based on today's performance. And look, to add a little bit more context, this is a Valencia team that started the game without 2 of their 3 best players because Dani Parejo was unavailable. Rodrigo Moreno, who, funnily enough, he started on the bench, reason being that supposedly he was a subject of interest from Barcelona before the match. So that gives you some sense of what they were up against. I agree. We all saw really, really sterile possession. I'd say 2 quick things about that. One is the old Barcelona values, the Pep Guardiola era, that wasn't just about possession. It was also about pressing off the ball. And this is a team that has a really difficult time doing it, in part because Lionel Messi, isn't as young as he was 10 years ago. None of us are. And they simply didn't get that part of the game right either, which I think only made things worse. In terms of possession and penetration, I think that's something that takes chemistry, and this is Setien's third game in charge. You know, we can give him a tiny bit of leeway for that, but he has to get that right. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, and you're just going to sit around, pass the ball sideways, and hope that Messi does something spectacular, which he sometimes does, but not in every single game.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.